But yeah, welcome to the Exo Consortium call. Thank you everyone for being here. I wanted to just start off by introducing this experience. This is the Exo Consortium. How it works is that we will have Exo and LightNet updates. We'll have 5 minutes or so per presenter. We will keep time, so we'll give a 1-minute warning. And thank you, Nadi, for volunteering to help out with that. And so we'll keep things going. Thank you everyone for being here. Thank you, New Realities, for eventually going to publish this. And then if you want to present, please do know that you can reach out to us at team@exometaverse.org to join the presentation next month. I want to just promote the Making Contact series. This is happening tonight and will happen once a week for the next 4 weeks. You can get more information at makingcontactseries.com. This is put out by Alan Steinfeld, the host of the New Realities channel, and has a lot of interesting people talking about contact. We've got the first congressional hearing on UFOs in 50 years. And so we watched that together last Tuesday. We've got a video with commentary with Alan, with John Ramirez, the former CIA agent who's part of the community and an experiencer, and Zenka talking about the congressional hearing. So you can get there at the Exo Metaverse or the New Realities channel, as well as the link in the slide, and I'll be pasting these into the chat once I'm done with my update. Big update, actually. We are rebranding Exo Metaverse into LightNet. So if you go to exometaverse.org, you will get to lightnet.org, and there's a different vibe. It's much lighter. One of the reasons why we're doing this is we're working with a development team to bring together a platform, put out a platform for this citizen science work. We are launching with some small groups. The platform itself isn't ready yet, but we are moving forward primarily because it is timely to have small group contact. So if you're interested in making contact with a small group and a small group of 8, please do check out lightnet.org. And I'm actually going to share the screen to show off what that looks like here. So going here, we've got lightnet.org, and here we've got the Jedi Academy. And so we are offering ET contact small groups through here, spoon bending, Emoto's rice experiment. If you click in here, it brings you some information about the small groups we're running. I'm running a group on dreams. Alan's running a group on lucid dreaming, remote viewing, and meditation. Adrian Fisher on channeling, ET contact through channeling, and Zenka's running it on radios, automatic writing, and CE5. So these start up in July. So if you're interested, you can sign up here, clicking in, you can create an account. And also, if you're curious about the group, you can click in to learn more about it. We've got videos made and everything, so it should be really a great time. One of the things we are doing with the LightNet platform is mapping everyone's collective wisdom and resources. So we are prototyping that through the experience at Bubble Up, which is a free app. You just click through there to get an invitation. It'll bring you to something that looks like this, where we're collecting links under the categories of method, resources, and small groups. You click through methods, you'll encounter some about dreams. Alan and I have made videos about making contact in your dreams. We've got information and resources. There's a bunch of resources in here. And so part of the small group experience will be collecting the resources. All of these resources will come into the LightNet platform itself. So that's really important to know. So let me get back to the presentation. So our next EXO Hangout is with Jacqueline Buckner. She will talk on the Integratron, how to see a UFO, giant rock, and Native American contact. So if you want to participate in that, you can go to lightnet.org/join. In June 9th, we've got Dr. Celestine Starr talking about the Galactic Earth Council. She's been a guide through Star Watch circles, galactic star origins, celestial ascension workshops, and galactic ascension sessions. She's the author of the Galactic Earth Council book offering a roadmap. So again, that's on June 9th. And so now I'm going to get into my update. This is, I've received guidance more or less from the dream papers I've been presenting on over the last couple months. This is a proposed research institute called DSETI, which stands for Dream Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence. And when we scientifically find extraterrestrial communication in dreams, it'll switch to dream study of extraterrestrial intelligence. The reason why is this is based on hypothesis put forward in the scientific literature that's really actively present. Basically, the hypothesis, as I think everyone on the call might know, is that we already have signal for ET communication. There's calculable probabilities associated with that in terms of dream. And we can have instantaneous communication with ETs. And so I just want to share some of the facts that these are based on. And all of these facts come from like peer-reviewed scientific sources. Dreams are psionic in nature. There's been a meta-analysis of the dreams saying that they are telepathic in nature at a rate like 63% success rate, significantly more than the 50% chance rate. We've got 8% of the dreams classified as exotic, meaning shared or visitation or telepathic or healing. That ET contact is often frequently misunderstood as dreams. Thank you, Dr. John Mack, for that understanding. But we see that contact as highly strange. Dreams are highly bizarre. And there's an ontological shock involved. So there's a repression experience. So that might actually account for some of the 6.5% people dreaming of ETs. We see that lucid intent to make contact with ETs is more successful than regular intent, even by trained lucid dreamers. So this is a really interesting find. This is out of a new paper from 2021. Those two numbers are not necessarily statistically comparable, the 74% success rate of ET lucid intent accomplishment with the 50% of lucid intent accomplishment from trained lucid dreamers. So there needs to be more study, but it's a really big signal there. I wanted to run through the comparison of this proposal with SETI, understanding that SETI looks to radio signals for a method. DSETI would look to psionic dreams as a method. Detected signals, there's been 0 signals in terms of radio telescope receiving, at least that we know of from SETI. And it looks like we've got thousands, if not tens of thousands of psionic dream contact. It's actually really prevalent. The probabilities of contact SETI is incalculable probabilities based on the Drake equation. And then with dream contact, we actually have predictable rates from these scientific papers, peer-reviewed. So we just have to make some guesses. And it shows that probably you can make contact through lucid dreams. The conversation timeline is generational with SETI. It's instantaneous with the psionic contact. And finally, I do want to talk about the budget. SETI operates at $22 million a year to do their work. And what we're looking for is about $100,000 a year for 5 years to establish this as a scientific body of literature. That's 0.4% of SETI's operational costs. And a lot of that actually will go into the open data commons and open source tools that we're putting forward in LightNet. So that's why I'm talking about that here. I'm running the Dream Group through LightNet. Small groups of 8 make contact in 8 weeks. It's really going to bring together a lot of the science so that we can start exploring this together. If you're interested, please go to lightnet.org. And so if you or anybody you know needs or wants support with dreams and ET contact, I do offer one-on-one hypnosis, dream work, and quantum healing sessions by donation through cosmicdreamsanctuary.org. And so with that, I would love to invite the other presenters here, 5 minutes each or so. And let's start with Chantal.
Well, hello, everyone. This is my first time here, and my name is Chantal Chauvin. I'm here as proxy for Ryan Stacy on behalf of the Experiencers Support Association. I don't have any nice visuals today, but maybe next time, just to give you guys a few updates on what we've been doing. I'm sure you all know what TESSA is, or should I explain that?
Oh, explain it. Yeah.
Okay, I'll just give a little lowdown. So the Experiencer Support Association, otherwise known as TESSA, is a hybrid of UFO and paranormal investigations and support association. And we're working directly with the experiencers to study this phenomena in an interconnected way on a global scale. So we take the protection of personal privacy very seriously. In fact, Ryan Stacy owns a private investigating company and surveillance company that is in direct partnership with TESSA and is responsible for managing personal data that we do collect through our reporting system. And we've enhanced those security protocols with our new updated website. So we're really pleased to announce presently, after several years of COVID lockdowns and pandemic restrictions, that we will be hosting a conference that we are calling Interconnected UFO and Paranormal Retreat. So this is a conference, but intended to be a retreat style conference to offer experiences, some healing and support, but also some good discussion and speakers on topics of a wide range, because we study the phenomena in an interconnected way. This conference is also intended to replace ACE, the Alien Cosmic Expo, which was in Ontario, Canada. And this conference will be located in Collingwood, Ontario, Canada, and taking place September 23rd to 25th. And so we're presently screening for event public speakers, and we will announce this event with the launch of our new website, which is coming shortly. I can say this conference is going to be like a deep dive of a lot of various topics. So we're really excited about that and all the work we put into it for the past 2 years. Our website is our biggest announcement though. So we've been working behind the scenes on a new website that'll offer TESSA data sets with enhanced searchability. So the data will include declassified documents and other government documents as we have already, but and much more and updated. We're going to have an enhanced visual evidence database. So that's our mapping system with all the evidence on there of information that's been already investigated and deemed unknown, and many improvements to our reporting system, thanks from feedback we've received from the public, but also improved data quality and quality assurance, and a global reporting aspect. So we're really excited about that, and we're pretty confident it's going to be far superior than anything that's out there right now, including MUFON. Our website URL will be changing from tessacan.org to experiencersupport.org for easier searchability as well. And all our events and updates, everything's going to be on there, including our Experiencers Anonymous meetings will be on there, and so much more. Like, it's going to be very cool. So we'll be announcing that in the coming weeks. As we have so many projects on the go that we're excited about. We also have ADC coming on as is that my time?
You have 1 minute left.
Okay. As a new podcast, they're going to be hosting a new podcast. So Alliance of Extraterrestrial Diplomatic Contacts. Sorry, Rochelle, or Sylvain Rochelle. But yeah, we're really excited, and they're going to be doing 2 podcasts, one in English and one in French. And I might leave it to Sylvain to explain more of that if he'd like. So thank you for your time, and look forward to the next meeting.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here. I love seeing the TESSA stuff and all the work you're doing. So it sounds really exciting. I'm going to check out the new site. So let's have Sylvain come on. Sounds like the good next step.
Yeah, sounds good, since CC just mentioned us in our participation. Yeah, so just to follow the thought, we've been talking with Tessa about an initiative of theirs to create a streaming service for content like ours. Not only the Alliance, but also yours, right? Like we have a contents that where we talk about ET disclosure, about building an embassy for extraterrestrials, which is our main project, the LightNet project, meditation, C5, and contact modalities and whatnot. Tessa is the curator of such, but a safe place to gather audiences that are interested in that topic, right? So, and our responsibility in that relationship is just to produce content. So we, like CC said, we are planning to start with about 12 episodes. I think that's the plan, and half of them in English, half of them in French, because we are in Canada. So we do things in 2 languages, and also good for Europe, because a lot of Europe is also speaks French, France, Belgium, and Switzerland and whatnot. And primarily it's going to be kind of like Joe Rogan style, where there's like a primary and a secondary host that kind of have a banter and a guest, and we explore a certain topic, right? So, and a lot of topics in our case will be updates and interactions with the architects for the embassy, or certain individuals that are helping the project. Now, just for those people out there that may be listening and that don't know who the Alliance for Extraterrestrial Diplomatic Contact is, because we never know who's listening to this, our mandate is to build an official embassy for extraterrestrials here on Earth that would be regulated according to formal United Nations rules, based on the Vienna Convention. So there's very specific steps to actually build that. We have raised the $50 million US to do the build, and there's a lot of discussion about development for surrounding villages around it, to support an embassy that will be a little bit outside of a city. And we're in discussion with several nations at this time for extraterritoriality of the land, and of course with diplomats and other representatives of the United Nations, right, to advance that project, to get a convention and to get a discussion going. So we were just talking about Congress in the US about talking openly about UAPs. Well, we're pushing for a discussion at the United Nations about, hey, we should have rules about when an ET civilization comes, what are we doing? How are we going to meet them? Where? We need an embassy, and so on and so forth. And we need to change the Vienna Convention document so that it has language that includes a civilization that does not come from Earth, because it was written in 1961, right? So that's there's a lot of connection, a lot of things that are happening in the community that are very helpful to our effort, because politicians and diplomats depend on a ready population to move forward, right? And to understand the importance of that. So otherwise they don't move, because they only do things that would be popular. That's politics for you, right? So for now, in the Alliance, if you want to participate with us and help our effort, is support the Alliance, talk about it. Join us at the conference. Thank you, Nadi. Join us at the conference on October 6th, and I will share the details of that in the chat, the URL, and also a 35% discount code for the big conference. It's going to be a first for our conference, where we're going to reveal where we are specifically with all the experts that we are the leaders, at least, of the conference. Of the Alliance, plus additional individuals that will talk about it. And it's going to be a networking event online to meet a bunch of people, ufologists and other individuals that you may not have heard before, but that are in support of this organization. And Tessa will help us advertise that and kind of air that out through that show. And speaking for Tessa, if you want a producer to produce shows with you or for you, contact Tessa. Because that's what we did. We provide the guests and content, but they publish and can do some editing under certain terms, and so it's a very good collaboration. And I'm sure Ryan would love to hear from some of you guys who would like to partner and do something interesting in streaming. And that is all from me now. Thank you, David.
Wonderful, thank you. Thank you so much. So let's now go with David Schooley. David Schooley, welcome. I don't think we've met before, but welcome. I'd love to hear your update.
Hi, how you doing? Yeah, we haven't met yet, so this is the first time here. I'm assuming you guys can all hear me okay. Can I share screen to show some things, or does that work here?
Oh yeah. Try it out, and let me see if I can give you.
Perfect. I think it is going to let me. I'm looking to do that here right now. I wanted to share screen just to talk about what we have going on. Let's see if it actually works here. I think it is. Can you guys see that there?
Not yet. There we go.
Okay, so what I'm pulling up is actually the website for the UFO Disclosure Symposium. So the reason I'm here today, I'm one of the producers of this.
Nice.
It is a phenomenal event coming up, of which one of the other gentlemen here, Paul Hynek, is actually one of the keynote speakers at this event. And you know, it's really kind of exciting. This is what we're doing at this event has never been done before. We're literally taking some UAP footage that is sourced from military sources. It has been vetted by multiple third-party analysts, and it has not been tainted or term to everybody at the event at the same time, with the analysts being there, with industry experts, scientists, PhDs, Avi Loeb, we've got L.A. Marzulli, James Keenan, who's a tremendous mind if you've ever spoken with him, Jim Segala, Jaime Musan. I mean, the list goes on. We've got 3 days basically of panels with these gentlemen. Pilot Chris Leto, who has done a lot of work on this. He's actually doing a space launch from the center of Vernal. It's going to be in Vernal, Utah. And it's going to be on the 27th through the 29th. So it's the end of this month. And so anybody coming, you get to be a part of a space launch on that first day. You get to be a part of footages, listening to the analysts, listening to all the scientists and all that good stuff at the same time as the media and everybody else. We're actually having a press conference right there on that Saturday. You actually get a tour at Blind Frog Ranch, because it's literally right there next to Blind Frog Ranch. So that's really fun and cool. You get a t-shirt, you get a YouTube interview with Carl the Crusher, who's doing a lot of our interviews. And then the bonus, this is really cool. We've got the Cousin brothers, who are from, they've produced the Countdown to Disclosure, and they just put out another one called Above Top Secret, which right now is actually being downloaded. I think it's #2 behind Batman on Amazon right now. So it's massively popular. And we're doing a bonus feature during dinner on Sunday night with that. So it's really cool. We do have general tickets, obviously. The general admission is $129. We've got daily. But if you can't make it to Vernal, Utah, which we totally get, you can stream it from anywhere. So you can be a part of this historic event from anywhere you are. All you got to do is get the streaming. And then I did want to mention one more thing on that. Let's see. Hang on, if I got it listed here. I don't. I know that's my 1 minute, right? The bottom line here is we brought this together to literally try and bridge that gap in the ufology community. Everybody wants to be validated and know that people take them seriously and understand that what's happening to each other, and there's kind of a weird, interesting thing going on there. We want truth and nothing but truth. And so that's why we put this event together. We want to see, you know, really close, so we're looking forward to it. So if anybody wants to come out, I'm putting the links in the chat, and we'd love to have you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Of course. I can stop the share here.
Oh, perfect. Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah. So it's good to have you. I'm glad we did a hangout with Blind Frog with Dwayne from Blind Frog Ranch, our last hangout. So we got to learn a little bit about that experience. But
absolutely.
Sounds so good. It sounds so good. I'm so excited about all this disclosure stuff coming up.
Well, and Dwayne's an incredible guy because he's actually an experiencer himself, and he's one of my partners. If you've ever met him, you will love that gentleman. He's a good guy. Yep.
Yeah. Thank you. So I wanted to just come back. Susie had a point about saying go to testcan.org for any production needs. So I wanted to just have that be said to the video record so that we have that information, and that also. Are accepting expressions of interest for the conference at admin at tessacan.org. So that is how to get in contact with Cece and Tessa. That's TESACAN.org. So let's shift over to Nadi for updates.
All right, started my timer. Hi everyone. That sounds so great, David. I also met, is it Wayne from Blind Frog Ranch.
Wayne, yes.
It was awesome. Man, that's worth the ticket price alone. That's so great. Anyway, so it's really wonderful to be with you all. I'm missing Zenka for sure. And to tell you a little bit about what I do, I think I host user-friendly classes and groups for really, I guess user-friendly, that's my word, basic modalities for contact, right? I worked with the Arcturians a lot, and they've said that if you're working with sacred geometry or with crop circles, you are signaling to the advanced civilizations that you are interested. It's like hailing your higher self, and it's so gentle. And so I think I've skipped over what it is that I do. I teach people how to draw sacred geometry, and I host calls on crop circles and light language and communication with whales and dolphins and the ET hybridization program. But I start really gently because sacred geometry and drawing it is a really great activation tool. It's a wonderful way to connect with, as Daniel was talking about, all of our psi capacities that are just sitting there in the wings wanting to come forward. The drawing of the geometry really aligns our system to our higher capacities, to our guidance, and really leads to great expansion, and then contributing to the uplift of humanity, which is what's it's part of what we need to do. I think it's part of our goal of all of the contact as we're up leveling to be able to contact and match the civilizations that are here to help us do that. So yeah, sacred geometry, crop circles. Can I screen share my little online course here? Not to say little, take that back. Let me do this. So I'm partnering with Jenna Layden and Sinead Willihan's Star Family Wisdom. And that is a wonderful site that has all sorts of resources, libraries, a podcast as well. They're doing amazing interviews with people, and shamanism tools. Jenna is an incredible resource, so she wanted to include sacred geometry in her pantheon of offerings. And so I've got an 8-module course developed for learning the basics of sacred geometry, and it's so much fun. I've been doing this for many, many years, finally got my stuff together to get it online. And we've got, basics, sacred geometry, Metatron's cube, flower of life, dodecahedrons, tesseracts, and all sorts of fun with polygons. And I like to teach geometry, but I also really like to talk about the esoteric background behind the geometry, right? So it's not just drawing, it's the understanding of consciousness that is in the geometry. And then that bridges out right to the crop circles that are also founded in geometry, and how the genuine formations contain so much activating information. So it's, I lead with the geometry because it's super accessible, but then I kind of sneaky get us in the back door and start talking about crop circles and advanced civilizations and how we can connect on this planet with whales and dolphins for sure, that represent various species that are here supporting us. And there's my minute timer, so I'm going to wrap it up. But I want to invite everyone to, I lost my thought with the timer. I want to invite everyone to check out the website, and I'm going to talk to Zenka about offering a group on LightNet as well, because part of why I love being on this calls, and part of why I love everybody's projects and efforts, is because coming together makes it so powerful and validating of these experiences that have been so marginalized and pathologized. We're just extraordinary humans, and we have a lot to say that's going to help us open the door for, advanced contact, advanced communication. So I love being part of that, and I really love being on these calls. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you, Nadi. That's wonderful. I'm just curious, how old do you have to be to participate in your classes? I have an 11-year-old boy who might, I just had the intuition it would be really, he's getting into geometry. So just.
Yeah, please. Star Kids and Pioneers, all on the spectrum. Everybody's welcome. I keep saying user-friendly because it's a compass and a couple of circles, and then it's supportive guidance. And I really believe in encouraging teaching, right? Like that kind of teaching, that kind of collaboration where everybody walks out going, knowing what a rock star they are. So the kids for sure. Yeah.
Oh, good. Awesome. Yeah. We'll do it soon.
Right,
that sounds awesome.
Cool.
So now let's go to Paul.
Oh,
Hi,
wait.
friends. How are you?
Should I say how to find me? I forgot to say that.
Oh, yeah. Do that.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, Paul. Yeah, my website is Galactic Rose Geometry. I'll put it in the chat, but yeah, thanks.
Thank you. All right, Paul, you're up.
All right, cool. Hello, friends. How are you? I'll be pretty quick. I'm working with, I think, all of you in various capacities. And, my particular interests right now are communications and protocols, and the potential of proving objective realities of communications. Really easy things to do. I should be able to knock both of those off in a couple of weeks, and we'll just prove we don't need disclosure because we have proof. And the other thing is the sort of philosophical underpinnings that lie between crypto and aliens, from what I call blockchain archaeology 46,000 years ago to Bitcoin astronomy in the future. And it start off as kind of tongue in cheek, but I'm actually finding more bona fide connective tissue. And yeah, I'm very happy to be at the conference next week in Vernal, Utah. And there's something very interesting. I know you know about this, David. I won't give away too much because I know Carl wants to present at the conference, but I've been working with one of the guys from the conference who's been capturing some fascinating footage that he's going to present at the conference, which is not yet, I think, in the market materials because it's brand new. And I've been working with him to try to examine this. And I said, hey, Carl, let me be the guy, the debunker that sort of helps you present early in the presentation all the questions that people will have, so we can knock those down so that they can just focus on what's really going on. And I'd like to share the screen with you guys here real quickly of something really cool that we just got today. I think it's going to be in here. So can you see my screen there? Carl captured a lot of footage in night vision, but also saw this effect with naked eyes with two witnesses. But primarily what he will present at the conference is night vision. So I contacted the manufacturer of the night vision camera and said, hey, we've got some pretty interesting stuff here. We'd like you to take a look at it. Carl sent the footage and we just got the email back today that they don't know what this was. So, that's not proof of anything, but it shows that we're examining and trying to figure out, let's say, terrestrial explanations for a really fascinating thing. So it's interesting that, because I don't know much about night vision. I know a lot more than I did before. I boned up on it, but it was nice to have the manufacturer weigh in that the footage that Carl has captured on different nights is not easily explainable by artifacts or limitations or things that in night vision could be easily explained. So that's something it's really got my juices flowing and is adding that much more oomph to me being a blind frogger, as I think we all are in one way or another. And yeah, just super jazzed. Have a lot of work to do on my presentation before then and a lot of stuff going on, but just very happy to be part of this ongoing group. And yeah, that's it.
Wonderful. Thank you, Paul. So it looks like we've gone through all of the presenters for the updates, and I would love to just open a space for a little bit of sharing of wisdom for this historic moment, having gone through and experienced a public U.S. congressional hearing on UAPs. I'm sure many of you have watched that, and maybe some of you haven't, but are there any reflections or wisdom of interpretation that any of you would offer to help orient us in this a hopeful narrative, let's say, perhaps? So this is, the floor is open, and if you'd like to speak on that, just jump in.
I'll start real quick too. Obviously, having a lot of press going on right now with our event coming up quickly, and just people are buzzing huge about disclosure. I've been asked this question quite a bit about what I feel about the Congress, and all that good stuff. And if our event was on the heels of the Congress, opening things up, or if we, were doing this before. We were planning this before. It had nothing to do with the Congress. And while I do think disclosure is inevitable, because we're at a point in time where social media and communication and the ability to communicate without centralization is something they can't stop. I do believe that the cautionary thing that I'm keeping in mind and that I would give to anybody is, I think that the congressional hearings are a good step, but it's also possible that it's a way to control the narrative. So, I would take it all with a grain of salt and still get involved in any decentralized communication chain you can. And I know, Paul, we've had this conversation as well. And that's what Chris Leto is starting with his UAP Society. He's funding it with NFTs, and he's doing, some really cool stuff. But the whole point of the decentralized is that there is no control. It is just raw information for all of us to then validate, however we can with all the minds that we can collectively put together. So that's my thoughts.
Wonderful. Thank you. Anyone else would like to share on that?
I'd like to piggyback on that, if you don't mind. I think you guys are right. This needs to be grassroots, right? It's us human beings figuring stuff out, right? And then popularizing the ideas and the multitude of ideas, because not everybody agrees on everything, and even in our space, right? And that, having enough people understanding that there's something else out there, and it's positive, it's interesting, it's exciting. And yes, there's all these possibilities. Then it becomes mainstream from the ground up, and that's when we control the narrative. As varied as it would be, we would still control the narrative, and it's very hard for people at that point that are getting elected and that do follow narratives and what garners votes, for example, or things like that. It's very hard for them to modify it, since there's so many people that are driving it from the ground up. So I'm excited about the variety of individuals and groups and organizations that are pushing in the same direction, excited about things, and seeing an ET contact, any kind of ET contact, as a very positive growth, civilization changing event, right? Because from all our approaches, we're touching different hearts, right, in slightly different ways, and we're raising the awareness. And slowly, you can see the statistics. Slowly, more and more people are saying, I think maybe there are other civilizations out there, and maybe it would be good to meet with them. That statistic keeps increasing. And that's not because politicians are carrying any kind of dialogue. It's us that are transforming by talking to our families, or by doing projects, by doing videos, and by being positive and talking about it. So let's keep doing what we're doing. And, the cream will rise to the top, if you can call it the top. And then, mainstream media will pick up on our narrative. That is my hope and my aspiration.
Thank you. Thank you. Paul or Nadi, do you have any wisdom to share with us?
Nadi's got more wisdom than I do.
Paul, man, I always walk out of here feeling it was so great. All your props and accolades. Are you sure? You sure you don't want to jump in? Okay. Well, yeah, I'm hesitant because I end up sounding really cynical, I think. Sylvain, I get the angle of, any news is good news or any press is good press, but I don't think so. And I don't like I don't like this like precious, precious subject, this place that is so like near and dear to our hearts, as experiencers or contactees. I don't like the government being in the business. I know they are, but I mean, like moving into the sort of public eye, and I worry, Alan Steinfeld and I back last year had, we went at it because he thought that like any press is good press. And I'm like, no, man, look at the languaging woven in, and look at some of the fear associations and some of the like very, very subtle programming around it. And so I am conflicted about it because I know we need to expand in our awareness, but Daniel, I would love for all of us to get it in the dream time, that I love your project. So I think there's my take, and yet I don't necessarily have a better suggestion. So I'm on the fence, but that's where I'm at with it.
Thank you. Thank you. Hey, Paul, do you have any thoughts you want to add in, Paul?
A lot. I'll just sort of distill to a few. I don't give a rat's ass what the government says or does. David, you mentioned disinformation or decentralization, and it's not their job to disclose or to share technology with the world. If we were high-ranking U.S. Air Force generals, we could easily sit on saucers, on aliens, on reverse engineered propulsion systems, and feel we're doing our job. And that we should engage in active disinformation campaigns, which they have. And also just real quickly, I agree with you, Nadi, about not all press is good press. Swamp gas is a phrase that my family doesn't particularly care about. So, but the government, this gets back to decentralization. They are a centralized actor. Centralized actors are corrupt. They do not reflect, they do not bottom up, they do not do public disclosure or grassroots. They do what they can to perpetuate their control. And that's how the Air Force acts about this. And so they have these things, and they're, with Chris Mellon and others, they press the right levers, they get some information out, and now we're going to have great examinations of this in Vernal. But, it's not, I would say, even though the Air Force has not always been very popular in my house, it's not their job to do this. It's their job, if they're on the catbird seat with some technology, I don't think they've got tremendous things for years and years, because if they did, they'd all be speaking English in Beijing right now. So if they have something, I've heard people say, well, they have an obligation. It's the crime of the century not to release information beneficial to humanity. But, the Wright brothers were convinced that aviation would stop warfare for all time. But they didn't think about payloads. I mean, any technology can be used good and bad. So it's kind of ramblings, but my whole life, I've in one capacity or another been, following and trying to discern and read between the lines of ridiculous FOIA documents that are all blacked out except for a couple words. I'm just done. I'm done with the government. I'm done with centralized actors. They do what they do. And it's all about us, as several of you have said, to do grassroots. And so then you mentioned that also. So it's about us getting information. And, to your point also, Sylvain, by the time that a government does do a capital D single event disclosure, it'll be, I think, like, okay, finally, guys, you come to the party. It's not them leading around anymore. The polls do show, like you said, Sylvain, that the majority of people believe that something is happening. So we don't need the government to tell us anymore. We don't believe in what they say. People are having direct communications. Daniel, your effort is a great way to do decentralized communications. And that's where the truth lies. And that's where increasing awareness and hopefully better future for Earthlings lies. I'm much less concerned about the future of artificial intelligence than I am about the present of human stupidity. We need help, whether it's from AI or our star friends or our DMT machine elves. We're not doing so well. We're a bad shepherd for the planet. And it's through these decentralized things. And back to your the point about like dreams may be aliens. We don't know all these things. There's so many different types of experiences. There's so much to learn from them. And so the efforts that we're doing to improve those communications and cast a wider net to collect more of them, that's where the truth lies. And that's where I think humanity is going to progress by leaps and bounds, not because of begrudging tidbits of disclosure from a corrupt centralized actor like the US government.
Great, thank you. Thank you, Paul. That's I resonate with a lot of those feelings as well. In my own watching of the hearing, I was a little concerned by the limitation of the scope of data to the physical and the rejection of narrative accounts, primarily because when we look at the brain patterns of things like ET contact, right, or psionic phenomena or dreams, they have a characteristic sort of similarity to them. And there seems to me to be an argument that this life is something like a dream based on the notion of simulation, the matrix experience, that sort of thing being reported through the Beyond UFOs. So I think there's a really strong argument that narrative-based communication is a form of actual data for this phenomena. And that further, I would say that it is, if it is the case, then we need to look to the like ethical guidelines around dreaming, and that we see that there are a couple ethical guidelines. One is that the dreams are always multidimensional in nature, meaning you can come back to them and reinterpret them and have meaning come out of them in many different ways. And then the other thing is that the dreamer, or in this case, we might say the experiencer, is the sole authority about the significance of the dream. And so in some way, shape, or form, that unless we have an interpretation from the experiencer or dreamer, that any of the data collection is only one dimension, flattens this multidimensional experience, and does violence to the actual sovereignty of the experiencer and dreamer. That's why I'm trying to put together the argument that dreamlike experiences, and in dream literature, actually, we see that there is a movement to expand the definition of dream from nocturnal dream to daydream to fantasy to something like sleep paralysis that is associated with abduction states or whatever. There's a lot more to it. So I'm really excited by that potential, but a little concerned about the flattening of narrative into quantitative data, at least through the lens of the government. So I would just put that forward. Are there any final thoughts or feelings that want to be expressed before we sign off for the night?
I just want to say, Daniel, that was so awesome. And I had this vision where like we were actually part of some kind of galactic council, and that was your like update on humanity. Like, sorry, really a little concerned about flattening the data. that was brilliant, man. Thank you. That was awesome.
Thank you. Well, thank you all for being here. We'll post this on the YouTube shortly. And once again, yeah, I love seeing all your faces, and it's good to meet you, David. So welcome. Yeah.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, this was absolutely awesome. I love the company. And I think we're headed in the right direction with conversations like this.
All right. And with that, good night.
Bye, all.
Oh.
Sylvain, do you want to say something? It feels like you opened up the mic before.
No, I just wanted to say bye.
Okay, wonderful. All right. See you all.
Love you all.
Bye.
Bye-bye.